is certain and the interpretation thereof true. You know, Nebuchadnezzar, he chose a place where all could see the head of gold with this image. I wonder whether the head of gold looked like him. We're not told. But you know, he wanted his kingdom to last forever. So he set it up on the plains of Dura in the province of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar had gathered the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the councillors, the sheriffs, the rulers of the province, anybody who was important was asked to go there, to the dedication of this image that he had set up. And when they heard the sound of the cornet, the flute, the sackbut, the psalter, the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, they must fall down and worship this image. And Nebuchadnezzar commanded that all who should not bow down to the image would be that he had set up would be thrown into the fiery furnace. Let's turn our Bibles to Daniel 3 verse 6. Daniel 3 verse 6. Daniel 3 verse 6 says, "And whosoever falleth down and not worship shall be the same are cast into the midst of the fiery furnace." You know, God has his people everywhere. There was 3 Hebrew worthies that wouldn't knuckle under to him. They wouldn't bow down to his image. Prophets and Kings, page 507, paragraph 1 says, "The act of bowing down to the image was understood by all to be an act of worship. Such worship they could render to God alone." The 3 Hebrew worthies were given the ultimate test. If they didn't bow down to the image, they would be thrown into the fiery furnace. In vain were the threats, were the king's threats. They could not turn them. He could not turn the men from the alliance to the ruler of the universe. From history of our fathers, they had learned that disobedience to God resulted in dishonour, disaster, and death, and that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The foundations of all true prophecy, calmly facing the fiery furnace, they said, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, if this your decision, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of the hand of the king." And their faith strengthened as they declared that God would be glorified, and by delivering them with the triumphant assurance, born of implicit trust in God. You know, they trusted in God. And they added, "But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which is set up." They trusted completely in God. Well, we know the king was outraged at this. How dare they disobey the king? They answered, "We will not worship your God." And he had the fiery furnace heated 7 times hotter than normal. And then they were thrown in. And from the scriptures we know that Nebuchadnezzar went and looked inside the fiery furnace, and he saw the 4 men. He saw 4 men, but there was only 3. thought. And he said, one looked like the Son of God. I don't know how he knew that. He must have seen God, you know, in his dream. But he said, one looked like the Son of God. And once more, they were all alive and well. He also knew that the power of God was more powerful than he was. God had protected them from his evil ways. Well, I must mention this. A few days ago, well, weeks ago, Arlene burnt some toast under the grill, and she ran out the back door with the pan and on fire, you know, took it out, and but the house stunk for a couple of days, you know what it's like when you burn anything. But these men, they did not stink. The hair wasn't singed, the clothes smelt like roses, you know. But, well, and only God can do that. Because when you have a bonfire and you roast some potatoes, it stinks the whole place. Outside, your clothes stink. You've got to put them all in the washing machine, you know. But that wasn't needed. Darius knew that Daniel was blameless. I think I've turned over 2 pages. Yes, I'm just saying that they smell like roses. You know, and that's impossible when you light a bonfire. I remember our granddad used to light bonfires. He'd come in with his eyebrows singed, his moustache singed, everything, you know, he just loved fire. He was born in 1876, so, you know, there wasn't the modern things that you've got these days. Then we're going to look at Darius. He was another one. He loved to be honoured and worshipped. And the presidents and the princes knew this. But they wanted to get rid of Daniel, because Daniel was preferred above them. You know, Daniel did a good day's work. He was trustworthy and loyal. You know, if you're trustworthy and you're loyal, you do a good day's work, you've got a good boss, they'll appreciate you. But they hatched a plan because they was jealous of Daniel. They tried to find a reason that they could complain about Daniel, but they found nothing. They only knew that he would not compromise his religion, and that's what they tried to get him on. They got Darius to make a decree forbidding any person to ask anything of God or man except Darius the king. And it would last 30 days. That suited the king well. A violation of the decree would be, they would be thrown into the lions then. You know what lions are like. The king yielded to the flattery. In other words, they buttered him up, saying all nice things about him, so that they could get Daniel. And